Hello, everyone. Kyra Schaefer here, and I'm with Susan Ray, there she is.
Hello.
And we're going to answer some burning questions today for funsies, because doing it seriously does not work for us.
Seriousness is overrated.
Yes, right. So we're going to do like some work stuff, some relationship stuff, probably. Probably, if we do, we do. Let's jump right on in. Let's start with this one. How can I communicate better with my partner? Communicate better.
That's a good one.
What are your thoughts on communication?
Well, my first thing is to get the feeling out first. So it's like, if I have a difficult topic to discuss with my partner, I want to squeeze all the emotion out. If the problem were a clock, it starts at 5, I'm not going to talk to my partner until like 5:45 when I've gotten through some of the upset. Yeah. So that's my first thought, is like, let's come without emotion. Let's make it about ourselves. Let's be radically accountable. Ooh. And the one thing that I read not long ago, somebody said something about the measure of communication is based on the recipient's feedback. So I can't say, well, I said it right, if I didn't say it in a way that the listener could understand. So it's really about finding the ways that we can make sure, speaking to them in words that are meaningful,
that they can hear it.
Yeah.
Speaking to them in a way they can hear it.
Yeah.
And if you haven't been communicating, this is a brand new idea. You're like, the only time we've been communicating is about our physical needs, or whatever,
right.
or
who's paying the bill, or whatever. Yeah.
Right, whatever. And you haven't ever tackled any of the big topics before, like the big things that bug us, or that we need people to know about. Like, I think for me, it's starting early, or starting when there's no charge. Like, how do I like to be communicated with? How do I like to be heard? And what happens if I am emotional? I can't take that time away. What will I do? What are my normal reactions? Like, am I normally like, I'm going to be talking really high, like loud? I'm not necessarily angry. This is Todd and I, when we were first starting to learn how to communicate, we'd already been together for a while. Right. And I was in the kitchen and he was in the kind of living room, and we were facing each other. And I was yelling at him about something. And then he raised his voice to match my voice, to match my intensity. Right. And then he was like, "Can you hear me now?" And I was like, I can hear you now. Oh my gosh.
It's better.
Yeah, it's better. Keep yelling at me, and that's just was my unhealedness, showing up. And because he didn't have any of anger or anything simultaneously with that voice, I didn't feel attacked. Isn't that weird?
I love it. I love that. And I love that you said we'd already been together some time before we learned, before we started practicing communicating better. And I think can give hope to anybody who's in a relationship that's like, yeah, I'm 10 years in. How do I do it?
What do I do now?
Right. And I like that. And I like, too, I feel like along the lines, what you were saying is like we could start small. We can start with a conversation, like you said, when there isn't any energy about, hey, what is the best way? If I did have something to talk to you about, how would you like me to let you know? Like, don't say we need to talk when you get home. Most people are like,
God.
spin,
God.
Right?
That is like when your mom gets home or when your dad gets home. Like, that's a major trigger. Just hearing that, my throat closed up. Like, you wait until...
And with my rejection and abandonment issues, I'd have my bag packed at the door when they got home. I'd be like, okay, I know it's over, right? I got my stuff, I'm leaving.
And you haven't even had the conversation yet.
No, I want to see what you want to do for your birthday, right? I'd be like, oh, never mind those bags.
Oh,
A trip. Those are for a trip you're going to take
oh
me
my
on.
gosh. It is like on text messages too. Every once in a while, Todd will say something like, can you come in here, please? Like into his office. And I'm like, am I going to the principal's office? Did I do something wrong? Why is that the automatic? And it's just childhood stuff, you know?
Totally.
But we've never been taught how to do this, you know?
No.
Mm-mm.
And I like that you said it's just childhood stuff, because that's important for us to remember about our listener. They're hearing us through their filter.
Yeah.
So in a job I had in my 20s, the person said, I'm so disappointed. I lost my shit. I mean, disappointment came right before an avalanche of bad things in my childhood. So if I heard that word disappointment, it was only going to go downhill from there, right? So there may be some words or phrases or tone or volume that you use that your listener is triggered by or activated by because of their filter, not might not bother
and I think if we
anyone
know,
else.
if we know those things about ourselves, you know, if you trust your partner, you will trust that they're not going to use those intentionally against you. Then that becomes a toxic relationship. There's no communication when there's that kind of manipulation going on. That's not cool. But if you love your partner and you trust them, then share it. Hey, you know what? I get triggered when somebody says I'm disappointed in you.
Right.
Or whatever.
Is there another way? And I wonder too, even in the heat of it, then say that happened. Oh, I'm responding to that word. Is there another way you could tell me how you feel about that? Right? Like, I wonder if we could ask. Or I remember one time this coach said to me, when someone says something hurtful to her, she'll like put her hand on her chest and she'll be like, pardon me? Like, to give them a chance.
Excuse me?
Yeah, exactly. Like, pardon me, but it doesn't have to be shitty. But like, she's like, I just want to give them a chance to rethink what they said.
What they just said.
Yeah. And sometimes
me what you just said to me.
Yeah. And sometimes they're like, I said I'm fucking disappointed in you.
I said you're an asshole.
And other times they might back up the bus and be like, oh, did that come out harsh? Right. Or, oh, let me rephrase. Or so
but I think if the other person doesn't have the same skill, see, this is the catch, right? It's like you're learning, like you guys that are watching this, you're learning how to communicate better, right? A little bit. We're giving you some options, some tips. But if the other person that you're communicating with doesn't know these things, like, Susan and I have studied real love and nonviolent communication, all kinds of stuff throughout the years. And it's almost like you have to learn how to regulate your own emotions in those moments because they don't know what you know. So they could come back harder and claim that what you're expressing is weakness. So they could come back harder with something to manipulate you to get to the same answer, same conclusion that they're coming to, because that I'm just going with the flow. I'm not gonna instigate an argument, even though we could be saying the same thing. Girl, I have got a good friend. I have got a good friend. She argues to argue. She and I said the exact. We were hanging out the other day. She said the same thing. Here was the thing that we were talking about. I'm calling you out.
You know who you are.
You know who you are. I said, Star Wars Chapter 4 is called A New Hope.
Yeah.
That's the name. And she goes, no, it's not. It's Star Wars. And I go, no, it's A New Hope. And I'm, this is going to be a fight. She said, no, it's not. It's Star Wars. I was there in 1978 and I went to the movie theater and I saw it. And it was called Star Wars. And I said, I know, but the chapter is called A New Hope. Held it up on my phone, showed her in her face. I don't care what you say. And I said, oh my God, I'm just going to have to relinquish
my need to be right. Yeah.
And, but in my past, I would certainly really belabor the point. I would be sending her text messages, getting into my rightness about it. And then finally I was like, wow, You just want to fight with me
Yeah.
for fun. You're just doing it for fun. She's like,
For
I
funsies.
care.
Yeah, right. Oh my gosh, so cute. So
But it could be a fight.
right.
Right? Like people in relationships get into fights over what to eat for dinner.
Nothing for funsies, right? And let's not forget that conflict is a form of connection.
Ah,
Bells are going off,
you
right?
You did it.
Yeah. So all we're really wanting when we're doing that is more connection, but we're willing to settle for conflict because it's too vulnerable to say, hey, can you hug me, or can you hold me, or can we talk about this in a loving way, or whatever, right?
Yes. And by the way, I looked into the camera. It wasn't the conversation that I had with Susan. It was a conversation I was having with Karen. Karen, I'm calling you out, girl.
You know who you are. Love it. Oh my God.
That should be the thumbnail for this one.
It should be that.
I love her so much. She's so supportive and loving.
So awesome. I love it. It's so good to have friends we can play with like that, though.
Oh yeah.
And see ourselves, you know.
Very lucky. Very, very lucky.
Yeah.
But if I had a lot of emotional trigger and a lot of stuff going on and my rightness was up, then I would, or if I was feeling empty or whatever, then I might find a way to keep that energy going. And it could go hard down the road.
Right.
People take Star Wars seriously.
Yeah. Well, any conflict and need to be right. It can go hard the wrong path.
Right.
One other thing I want to just offer before we leave this topic. So in the day, when I was first learning communication, right, many years ago, the therapist would say, when you blank, I feel blank, I need blank. And over the years, my problem with that has become me making them responsible for my happiness.
Yes.
Because you made a choice that you're totally entitled to make. Now I'm hurt and angry, and you should be different. So that's really been transformed. I'm surprised that they would even say that. Well, it's like I said, it's years ago, but I still have people show up as clients that are using that, thinking they're using. Right? Yeah, I mean, this was, gosh, it's probably 30 years ago or something, right? That I was using those tools, but I still have people using them. So if you learned those and you haven't had more communication training, then it might be time to throw those away, put them in the closet, something, and take them to Goodwill, and
drop them off, get the donation.
Yeah, say something like, I made X mean this, and I was looking for safety in this relationship. It's not your job to make me safe. I'll keep doing my work, right? Yeah. And that's the radical accountability part.
Ooh, it's such a big one too. And it's hard to take that on. It's hard to take that. If you haven't gotten loved around, making choices and doing it wrong and saying the wrong things and being the bad guy and, and knowing what that is and knowing that there is no such thing really as a bad guy if you're taking responsibility. But then over taking responsibility, right? Is like, I'm going to, obviously this was all me. So that's another thing too. It's like, wait a minute.
Let's not flip from one to the other, right? Even though sometimes it does that and then we can come back to middle, but yeah. And it doesn't matter if they get it. Like when I say that to my partner, Matthew, when you left without saying anything, I made it mean that you were angry with me and I got into all this fear and I was just looking for safety from you. And that's not your job. I'll keep doing my work. My safety comes from God. And literally he goes, what are you talking about? It doesn't matter if you're
what happened? I wasn't even here for this.
What? I'm not responsible for your safety. What? So I'm just saying, sometimes we just have to do the communication, to your point, Kyra, where you said maybe the partner's not learning as well or speaking the same language. Sometimes we have to do the communication to keep ourselves free of guilt
Yes.
Whether the partner gets it or not.
I love what you do, and I've completely adopted it, which is I'm making up a story, right? And so I even texted that to another friend. I said, I'm making up a story in my mind that says, you don't like me and you don't want to be with me and I'm da da da. And
Right.
and then then they were like, oh no, actually I was feeling guilty because you wanted to do this and I didn't want to do it. And I was afraid that you didn't love me because I wasn't making the same choice you were making. And I was like, what? Oh my
I
God.
love that.
Let's
I
just
love it.
walk it back. I love you. I don't care what you do. There's so much healing in that.
There
It
is.
really is.
And even if it didn't, like I did do that to you just last week where I was like, hey, I got a story running that I've offended you.
Oh yeah. I was like,
Right?
oh,
Right?
that's so exciting.
Right.
Because I get to tell her, oh my gosh, no, you're so amazing.
Yeah. But even if you did, or even if you didn't reply, then at least I've gotten it out of my head, right? And into the world, then I can decide what's next, right? Like
right. And it's awesome.
it was great. Yeah. Yeah. So try that.
All right. Let's see. I'm reading words.
Your questions. Yeah. Pick another good one.
What are some ways to improve intimacy in my relationship? Into me, I see. Into me, I see.
I love that. Where do you start?
Well, I think we get step one with communication. There's no like resentments or things boiling up or things underneath,
Bring it up.
And then also getting clear about what intimacy is. That's
Preach
another
it, sister. Bring it.
Is it I'm having sex with you every day but we don't ever talk and we don't ever, just sit and relax and we don't hold hands in public. Like, it's like, okay, well, is that intimacy? Well, yeah, that's a form of intimacy. Right. But if you're not showing someone the deeper parts of you, they can't love and accept you in those things. And so I think that limits the amount of intimacy that we would have in that relationship. And then also to getting comfortable with just being around somebody and being completely still and quiet and, and that kind of thing. I mean, my some of the most beautiful moments that Todd and I have are, him grabbing my hand when we're walking across the street going to the grocery store, or when he gently pushes me out of the way because I'm going to walk into a car, or like he's
those
like,
times he saves me from certain death. Those times are really cool.
When we were going to the courthouse, long story. We were going to the courthouse to get married officially. Long story. Yes. We were walking and he noticed I was getting too close to the curb, and he pulled me because there was like cars coming and I'm like
going to the chat phone.
Don't know what I'm doing. And he like pulled me and he pulled me on the other side of him. I know that's like a little thing, but he pulled me on the other side of him. He's on the side of traffic to keep me safe. To me, I think that's something that's just feeling safe with somebody is feelings of intimacy. What about you?
Well, I just want to say to that point, I love that experience of being protected and provided for, right? Which is a masculine energy thing. And we're invited to be in our feminine energy and receive it. And sometimes I struggle, right? Like a partner might pull me off the sidewalk and put me on the side. Be like, what? And I'm walking, right? we take it as a criticism or a judgment, like that they think we can. I'll just say I have. Maybe
I can go there. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, where it's like, what, you think I'm not capable to not get hit by a car? Instead of, thank you for caring about my safety. Right?
Me, on the other hand, goes, yeah, thank you, please. I was going to totally go into the street.
I'm the same, depending on the fullness and the topic. If I have some wounds about the topic and I'm not innocent, then I'm likely, right? Which I think when you said, if we're not sharing more of ourselves with our partner, they can't love us. And I want to add, we can't feel it. Even if they are flowing love to us, we can't feel it because we're always thinking if they only knew that. Or if I show them this, then like they're only in love with this mask that I have, but if I move the mask, I'm screwed, right? So we stay
Yeah.
in that.
Yeah. If they really saw what was going on in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, the other thing that I've noticed, I don't know if we have any watchers that experience this, but it took me a lot of years to realize how much time I spend out of my body. Like the clinical term, I guess, is disassociated, right? So I'm in the space, like I'm around, but I'm like not here. I'm not feeling this or the kisses, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So one of the things that really has helped me with my partner is the being still part. Like you said, sometimes the most intimate moments are when we're still. Because here's how it looks for Matthew and I. We're like sitting there, and I'm like, "What are we gonna do?" And he's like, "We're doing it."
Wait, what? That's all? Is this it?
He's like, right? And so then if I can bypass my impulsivity from all the many diagnoses going on up there and sit still for a minute, then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, yeah, I just landed.
That's what's happening.
Back in here, which means now I'm available, right? And that's especially important in my experience. That's especially important for physical intimacy. Oh, now I'm back in my body, so I can experience pleasure and I can respond to the invitation and the opportunity available. You know?
Nice. Nice. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think the physical and I mean, I could just speak for myself. Sexual intimacy is kind of, it's not where it's at when it comes to having a real connection with my partner.
Yeah.
Everything is making love if we are connected to each other and we bare our soul to each other, which we have many times over. Every single deep, dark, giggly giggly thing that I've got going on, he knows. And he's like, yeah, I still like it. I still want to be with you.
He's like, you're crazy is sexy.
Oh my God. And then he is the same way. He's showing me every little nook and cranny, and I'm like, yeah, bro,
right?
Let's get it.
I love it. I love it. Well, and I want to say it's so funny as I was hearing you say that, right? Like physical intimacy isn't the thing, right? Like we have all these other ways. My mind finished the sentence to say, unless you don't have it, right? For some of us, if we don't experience physical intimacy, then it is the thing. It's like, why don't we have that? And what I want to say about that is physical intimacy for people in feminine energy is the result of emotional intimacy. Like that's how we can give ourselves physically because we feel emotionally safe, right?
Yeah.
So I just want to say sometimes it's like the thing, like I've had clients coming to me too saying like, but we're not having enough sex and I feel so separate. And so, yeah. So
that's a good, yes. And a female human at my age.
I know, right?
It's really
less important.
Whatever the chemical in my brain that's supposed to make me do that is just, whoo, it's shriveled up. I don't know.
The chemicals are way down, and I want to honor that. And I know you've been making some videos about that perimenopause that it might be worth a little side trip to, because I do have a lot of people in my circles, and myself included, having gone through menopause with cancer, with chemo, it like you do it like that, trying to adjust to this new way of being, right? Like I feel like I love that you said that, because it warrants, and that may be straight back to communication where you update your man. You're like, listen, my body's changing and my desires are therefore changing, and I care about your happiness. Is there something we can do to bridge that your needs are met without me lying or sacrificing, right?
Yes, without me sacrificing or lying. Whoo, that's a good one.
Yeah.
And I think that we do that. I mean, we do that as women, and we do that as men, I mean, as men sacrifice too, women sacrifice too. And it's hard I think it can be hard for men to look at their relationship and go, well, her libido is down. Is it because of me? And it's like, no, it has nothing to do with it.
Exactly.
just like if somebody has ED, to be like, oh, it's the woman's,
Right.
he's not attracted to me. Nope, not
No.
necessarily. It's just a
What the
chemical
body's
reaction.
doing. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So finding other ways to build intimacy in a relationship can be really helpful. Because it's like my Todd said, I just made love to you. And he's like,
Love that.
because he's like, he just kissed me,
Right.
and that's like, I'm like, yeah.
I love that. That was great. Yeah. I love it.
Also, I think with the playing the different roles, the masculine and feminine roles, which I mean, I know that that's like a big topic, but just to touch base on it a little bit of that, if I'm more in my masculine and or more in my feminine, it's like there's different elements that are at play there too. Like I'm like, I'm gonna go out and hunt a boar, like
Right? I'm gonna bring home the
and I
bacon.
don't, and I might feel more like having sex then or less like having sex then.
Right.
It's like playing my role in the relationship too, which is
Exactly.
I'm still learning that bit.
Well, and I love that you said that too, especially with a couple like you guys who have been in business together. Well, right, earning the money, that's the masculine tendency. Even if the job, like us as coaches, that's still a masculine role when we're working, even though it feels nurturing and loving and supportive, right?
Yeah.
So if we're both in masculine, then it's hard to get any polarity going. So yeah, I love that you brought that up.
Yeah. It's very, I haven't actually thought about it like that.
I know. So maybe we'll do a talk one day just about that masculinity.
I think that sounds great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I feel a bit complete. How do you feel, Susan?
Great. Those are two good, juicy, lots in there. So if you watch the video this far, go back, watch it again. You can put it on if you want, but there's some good nuggets.
Subscribe.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
All right, guys. So these are a couple of things that we talked about: communication and intimacy. And yes, that will fill up plenty of time. Susan and I could probably talk on this for 3 days at an expo retreat, something or other, because
let's do that.
There's so many elements to it. And to get to the place where you allow yourself to be vulnerable enough to be like, I have all these things in me. Please still love me anyway.
That's right. And I'm worthy to be loved.
I'm worthy. And you're worthy.
You are. And you and you and you and you.
All right, guys. We will talk to you again later. And I love having Susan be a part of my life.
Aw, me too, girl. Ditto. So happy to be together. I love you so much.
I love you too. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.